Thank you for joining us today in episode 78 of the Pool Chasers podcast. As always, our mission is to help educate and inspire in the form of a podcast. 2019 has been an incredible year for all of us here at Pool Chasers. We achieved some great milestones this year. We started doing the podcast full time, spoke at our first conference, launched our Patreon page, put out episode 50, recorded our first live episode, and eclipsed over 100,000 downloads. We want to say a big thank you to all of our listeners for supporting us and the Pool Chasers mission. You all are the reason we do this. The stories you share with us keep us motivated every day. We hope you continue to get value out of each and every episode, and we want to wish you all a very happy new year. We also want to thank all of our sponsors and Patreon supporters, because without you, we would not be able to produce the podcast. So we appreciate all of you believing in us. 2019 gave us the opportunity to build some great friendships. And we can tell you, this has been one of the best things to come out of being the podcast hosts. We could have never imagined the doors that would be opened and who we would be able to meet along this journey. Thank you all for investing time in us. We look forward to continuing to build on these friendships we created this year, as well as make new ones in 2020 and beyond. 2019 also brought us to several locations, some of which have never been before. With the help of our friends, we went all across America. We visited Texas, New Jersey, California, Minnesota, North Carolina, Virginia, Louisiana, and Wisconsin, all of which we documented through Instagram. We even had several guests come and visit us here at the studio in Scottsdale. This year we put out 47 episodes, all of which were helpful in their own unique way. These episodes covered a wide variety of topics such as residential and commercial pool service, pool builders, designers, and remodelers, manufacturers' products, and water chemistry. We also had some episodes on more specific topics like big checklists, work-life balance, business, associations, reverse osmosis, water safety, marketing, social media, and photography. We often talk about how many great nuggets there are within these episodes, so we wanted to share some of this year's highlights. Thank you for a great year, Pool Chasers community. We truly appreciate you. Please enjoy the 2019 recap episode.
Welcome to your go-to podcast for the pool and spa industry. My name is Tyler Rasmussen.
And my name is Greg Villafania. And this is the Pool Chasers Podcast.
32.
One thing in photography school that they talked to us a lot about was before, and this is back again in film, when you got one click, you know, and you didn't have Photoshop really, you know, to take things out as easily and all that. But they would say, make sure you run your eye around the frame, okay? Because if just by shifting the camera, whether it's a phone or an actual DSLR or whatever it is, you shift that camera just a little bit, take out the distracting, you know, whatever it is over on the right or the left, you know, the frame, or
the guy picking his nose in the corner.
Yeah.
You didn't quite see.
Yeah. When you shoot people, for example, they used to tell us, make sure there's nothing annoying sticking out of their head. You know, I've seen people make this point. They'll have somebody stand where there's this, you know, bush behind their head, and it looks like the person in the photo's got an afro. You know, or you put somebody with a ceiling fan, you know, behind them the way you're shooting. It looks like they got stars, you know, coming out of their head. But yeah, you just have to really pay attention, look at what's going on.
33.
I used to kind of think that you just have to take on everyone that wants to be on your route and in your customer, and you have to work with them, and you just don't. And I just finally got to the point with certain customers, I'm like, you know, my quality of life is significantly lower, that I have to deal with you as a person. And I just started cutting people off.
Yep.
And boy, I wish I would have done it sooner. There's just some people that you just don't have to work for. And I certainly don't mean cutting out any customer that's ever a headache. Of course, you never have a business that way. I tended to err on the side of taking too much abuse too long.
Right.
And so that was what the realization that I didn't have to do that I had so many customers that appreciated what I did and were good to work with. I didn't have to take those just one or two here's or theirs that were just a nightmare for me. My phone would ring with their number on it, and you just, you know, that feeling, that gut, just gross feeling.
Yep.
You know, but some people are just downright abusive, and those are the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Just get rid of them.
39.
You don't even think about it, right? When you're looking through, I look through the drowning prevention filter all the time. Most people don't do that. And certainly pool professionals, when they show up, they're looking through the the aesthetically pleasing. I'm going to clean the pool. I want this to be beautiful. These people are paying me, and they're not looking through that filter. And so one of the things that I feel like in talking with everyone is we can say, look through this different lens or this different filter for a second, and you really can have the power to save someone's life. I know when one of the pools that we cleaned, there would always be this baby carriage, the one you push the baby doll in, and it was always right by the pool, and it used to drive me crazy. And so I would every single time take it and move it and put it as far away from the pool area as humanly possible. And it's simple things. And so challenging people to look through a little bit of a different filter and see that they can really make a difference in making the pool look pretty, but also making the pool safer.
42.
So what I like to do, something I employ, is I let them talk. I ask them, well, why are you looking for new service, or what aren't you happy with? And generally, when you ask those questions, they just start opening up like the worst rainstorm ever. They'll just start talking they never show up consistently, or they're always on different days, or they don't clean my filter, or whatever it is. And you just sit there and let them talk, and before you know it, you have an entire outline of why they hate their company that they're wanting to replace. And you can just positively talk about how you address those things without even talking about the other company. I have and never will talk about in a bad manner about another company. I don't care what they've done or anything like that. I always talk about how I can improve their service and their experience with the pool company.
43.
We built a system on how to do production. We had, 40 salespeople. We built a process, and the process was very important because it was the only way we could grow this business. So it's people that I've hired that they're still with me today, and the subcontractors when we said we did this all in-house, we didn't do it all in-house. We were only doing probably 50% of the pool in-house with the 350 employees. So we had a system in place. We had an unbelievable CAD department. We created a environment that we kind of wanted to really control our sales staff. We didn't let our salespeople just go out and sell whatever they wanted to sell. Then that plan got turned into a CAD plan, and the CAD plan was designed where the project manager who ran the job could understand it. And then we had several sign-offs from the homeowners, and it was a system that we really had in place. And that's really what I credit growth towards for our business. No question about it.
44.
And that's what I mean by, that's why we take these business owners through this 10-question little survey. Well, they say, this isn't relevant to my business. If we flip that around and say, well, let me ask you about you as a consumer, right? You want immediacy, you want transparency, you want authenticity, you read reviews. You do all these things that you say, well, it really doesn't apply to my business. But you as a consumer, not as the business owner, you as the consumer do all those things and expect all those things. So if you expect all those things as a consumer of other people's products and services, why wouldn't you expect that your customers of your service require the same things?
45.
How often do you use your pool? And I said, every day when I'm home. And she stops for a second and she goes, it's winter. And I said, well, I know that. She says, what's the temperature of the water? I said, 58. She goes, you go swimming in a 58-degree pool? I said, you didn't ask me if I went swimming. You asked me if I used my pool. And she goes, what's the difference? And I said, didn't you mention it when you came out that you'd never seen anything like this? So my philosophy is if that vessel doesn't have value, if I never swim in it, if I never stick my foot in it, if I never raced electric boats on it with my girls, if I never barbecued out by the pool, if I didn't have coffee with my wife out here in the mornings, if it doesn't have value like that, then it was a waste of time and money. So that's the way I see what we do. There obviously is utilitarian and health values of owning a vessel and psychology values too. But 90% of the time you look at it.
46.
If it doesn't work out and you lose the account, it's fine. But one thing I think we should all be doing is trying to educate the clients about the status of their property, so that when they leave you and go to contract with somebody else, they have a more realistic expectation of what to expect and what to pay. When you do a bad job or you make a mistake, we're all human. It's going to happen, So, but you should try to leave that customer with better expectations or just a better understanding of what they should expect to pay, what they should expect to receive for what they pay. And literally you're improving the industry by doing that, because ultimately we need the customers. The customers are what pay us. So, if you can leave a customer better off than you found them, I think that's doing positive things for our business, because someone's going to pick that up when you left it. And what you don't want to see happen is, you undercharged. And so you got yourself in a bad spot, and then they were able to talk somebody into coming in for even less money.
47.
Absolutely. And we recognize that if we want to have the best customer experience, it comes from the best employee experience. And it doesn't have to be a multi-million-dollar business. It could be a small business that puts that effort, right? So imagine a pool service pro who's going out, fixing your equipment, cleaning your pool, who has a great experience at work. Guess what? They're probably going to be pretty damn good with the customer. Think about one that gets beat up at work, right? The boss doesn't treat them right. The supervisor's, demeaning, condescending. How are they going to be with the customer? It's probably going to be reflected.
Yeah, they're the front line.
Exactly.
They're the ones that have that interaction every day. So if you're not good to them, they don't care about the customer. Why should they care about the customer if you don't care about them as the employee?
48.
At the end of the day, all this is designed for one thing and one thing only. It's to provide the absolute best service possible, and that customer is going to be the recipient of that. The money is just going to naturally follow once you deliver that. And all the benefits of having a business like that and running it legitimately and taking care of your employees, loving your employees, taking care of your customers, loving your customers. It's not good enough just to love what you do, but loving the people you do it for and the people you do it with. That's the full recipe right there.
49.
We're in a pleasure business. I always tell people that a couple never gets up on a Saturday and gets excited about getting in their car to go get a new muffler. But if they're going to get a new pool, they're fired up. They're thinking about laying out on a lounge chair and having friends over and barbecuing and swimming and being healthier and so forth. And so we're in a pleasure industry, and we create beauty and we create vessels that are attractive, that make people want to go outside, to make them bring their families together. We cool people in the summertime when it's hot out, and we warm them in the wintertime in their spa. We're in the business of selling pleasure, so that makes it more interesting for people.
50.
Yeah, so the messy middle is not fun, right? But you just focus on the end result. What do you want this business to do for you and your family? What do you want this business to produce for you and your family? Or, if you don't have a family, what do you want it to do for you? Do you want to be working for your business, or you want your business to work for you? So just in that messy middle part where you're stressed, you're running ragged, you're doing all these things all the time, your brain won't shut off. Just keep your eye on the prize of, okay, when I get through this, I'm going to be able to X, Y, and Z, or it's going to help me, become a better entrepreneur, or whatever your goal is. I would say keep your eye on the prize and focus on that goal of what you want your business to do and how you want it to run.
Yeah, so creating goals and really going after them.
Absolutely.
51.
Thank you. The orderly job site's critical to the success of the project. I really feel that way. We have a lot of different subcontractors that we rely on, and we expect them to show up and drive up the hill and provide their best work. And the least we can do is prep the site right for them. Make sure there's a restroom, make sure there's simple water, drinks, shade, make sure that there's not a mess in their way, make sure they're not having to do work that's beyond their scope, make sure that we're ready for them to show up and perform their task and have the right plans in hand. And we really try to think through their eyes and make sure that they have a great experience when they're with us on site.
51.
Timing's tough. Timing is one of those things that we only have so much control over. And, when there's emotion involved and deadlines, sometimes people can try to force us to do things out of rhythm or out of order. And we try to stick to our guns. And that's definitely, something that's important, is not to get rattled just by a schedule and understand what your end game is and what your goal is and stick to that versus, maybe being a month late or 2 months late. I think John and I agree we'd much rather deliver a product late than wrong, so it's more important for us to get it right, even if that means it takes a little bit longer. And we'd rather take the heat and, get blamed for missing a party or something that was short-lived versus delivering a product that is substandard for what we're working so hard to deliver.
52.
One of, I think, the most common mistakes that I see is people only talking about themselves, their products, and their services. While it's important that people know what you do, really social media is about giving and taking value. So if you're only saying every single day, this is me, this is what I do, check this out, people are going to lose interest. So you've got to think about who your audience is and what can you give them of value that keeps them interested in what you're posting.
53.
You don't just roll up out of bed and are, well versed at this. Keep in mind, before I started doing anything kind of, let's say, quote unquote, professionally, I was doing this for 9 years before I thought maybe I should get up there and I should maybe contribute a little bit. Like all these guys are volunteering. Maybe I should volunteer to do the newsletter or something like that for a chapter. So you have to kind of put your time in. You can't, I think that if you think I'm going to start a business and be successful, man, you've got a lot of learning to do, and you just have to kind of get out there and just do it and get some experience under your belt. But if you were to do that and you figure you got to give yourself a couple years, but align yourself with good quality people. Find people that can maybe mentor you or show you the way. Because people will gladly, take you under the wings. I've taken a lot of people under my wings, but it's like, hey, look, go get licensed. Hey, go do this. Go take this course. And you got to put the time in. And that's just all there's to it if you want to do it. And if you just want to have it be a hobby, then just, clean pools and skim and go do your thing. Go surfing.
54.
What the Ledge Lounger offered was, again, a piece of furniture that could sit in the pool without damaging the pool, and the furniture itself wouldn't become damaged from the water. And it was cool. It was different. It allowed you to sit in the water. We're looking at them right here. You can sit in the water, and I've actually changed how I design my tan ledges now based on the Ledge Lounger. I make the ledges in my designs bigger. We used to do 3.5, 4 feet wide, or, and however long we could make them with the pool. But now I try to design minimum of 6 feet in every pool, and I'll go bigger. I tell all my customers, a tanning ledge can't be too big. And it's not just for tanning. Kids play on them. You have young kids. Yep. My kids have grown. People get confused about what a tanning ledge is. It's a place, it's a congregation point in a pool.
55.
I tell homeowners when they want to take care of their pool, I said, you just put a lot of money in a very expensive pool finish. It's like going out and buying a new Mercedes and you go, I'll get to be my own car mechanic.
Right.
Right. Well, I mean, you're about the equivalent of a guy that can, check air pressure and dipstick oil, and that's about it. You're not a Dusseldorf trained Mercedes-Benz mechanic. Well, that's what a pool service man, a good one, has to be. He's a Dusseldorf trained Mercedes-Benz mechanic that understands everything about that pool. And the homeowner puts that hat on and that responsibility, and he doesn't even know how to check the oil. And of course, when things go south, it's, obvious.
56.
I think the first thing you got to do is humble yourself, right? You got to recognize that actually there is other people that know more than me. And I think that's, in the pool construction world, there's the old crotchety guy that's been digging pools for 27 years, and these young guys ain't going to tell me how to do mine. And at some level, his knowledge of experience is way more in depth than I'll ever have. And so I don't want to try to encroach on what his depth of knowledge is and his experience is, but what he has to do is be able to willing to say, wait a minute, this young guy might have learned something that nobody ever taught me. And it kind of goes both ways, right? And I think that you've got both issues in the pool world. You've got some guys that are super young and don't want to learn, or you have guys that are really old that don't think they need to learn.
57.
I remember sitting there listening to a couple of vendors just get up there and want to be a part of other pool guys and gals, listening to a little training tidbits. Somebody might ask a question and say, how do I get rid of this problem? Or how do I, install this? And there was a willingness of guys in the room, competitors trying to help one another. Well, that's real simple. You just do it this way. And I thought that's pretty cool. These guys are here trying to help one another. The vendors are here trying to get relationships. And I was feeling kind of, I guess, by myself, because I was by myself. I didn't know that many people here. And that was a venue that I could go to and meet people that were doing what I was doing, but there was also a willingness to help me get better.
60.
Once I got into wholesale distribution and the swimming pool industry from the actual professional side, the thing that draws me and the things that gets me excited is the fact that it's a blue collar industry. all the people that are involved, whether you're a retailer, a builder, a subcontractor, a service person, you earn what you're doing. You're a hustler. You're working in a sometimes harsh environment. But I really like that the people that we help are hardworking, blue collar people. And yes, it happens to be in aquatics, but I think that's what's important, especially as we understand what our role is in wholesale distribution. We want people, we want to help those kinds of people. And when we can help them, it's that much more rewarding.
62.
I think the hardest thing for us is like to realize we're not a charity, you know. We're charging $100, but that doesn't mean you get a free float or a free basket, free O-rings. Like, you need to charge for that. It's hard because they expect that stuff for free, you know. Oh, it's $5-10, you know. Well, when I'm doing that, you know, twice a month or, you know, for 100 people, you know, there's $2,000, you know, that I'm not making that really you guys should be paying for. You know, we're doing this set of services and that's not included. And, you know, you don't get that for free. You know, you need to pay for it.
Right.
And I think that is really hard because it does seem like the consumer, there's like expectation that they're going to get a bargain out of when it's anything pool wise.
66.
Now I've learned that we can also help bring up the industry as a whole, like listening to you guys and your other people in the industry who are doing well and trying to succeed on their own and setting the bar to a level that we create something that is just, like you said, the old stigma of being the pool guy with the flip-flops and a couple drips in the pool is out the window. We want to look like professionals. I want to look like a lawyer or a doctor or a chemist or an engineer when I walk into a backyard. I want to be seen that way, and I also want to present that. That's how we want to carry ourselves. So that really has motivated me and us to grow and push ourselves beyond our comfort zones and handle fears and really take things on.
66.
I'm also, very okay trying to lead the industry, right, as far as our fees go and how we take care of people, because it is a profession, like we talked about before, right? So the breadth of knowledge that our teams, our employees have to have regarding swimming pools, chemistry, hydraulics, filtration, cements, electricity, all of that, gas systems, vents, and it requires us investing back into our team. So we need to charge those fees to be able to have the best people, again, to bring the right product, again, to make the client feel comfortable, make sure we're taking care of them and not letting their equipment, just get trashed and that kind of thing. So
67.
I think there's a power in knowing who you are and being honest with yourself about who you are, with your strengths and your weaknesses. And there's a power, that same principle applies to business. If a company knows who they are, what they stand for, like I think and it's very simple, but we took a lot of time last year to develop a mission statement and core values and a core focus. And those are things that come up in our conversations every day around here. We paid the price to develop them, who we are. We became very clear about who we are and what we are intentionally trying to do. And that just fuels everything we do. And it clarifies a lot of the decisions that we make around here.
68.
Every time I talk to the guys about heaters, the first thing that I recommend is if you are going to see to a job site and you're going to work with the heater, you must have a voltmeter because you need to be able to check the voltage. And then you have to have a manometer. It's very important if you're going to service a heater to have a manometer with you because we need to check the pressure, the gas pressure, and which is, I can say 75 to 80% of the problems that the guys encounter when the heater is not working is the amount of the pressurous heater or the volume of the gas that we need for that heater to work. And if you cannot guess, it works on inches of water column. The heater needs from 4 to 14 inches of water column in order for it to work properly. It's a huge range, but you need to know that number. A lot of guys will call and tell us, oh, I smell like gas. Or I have enough gas.
Or it's good. It's good. Yeah.
I mean, and you know what I tell them is, I don't see it's good or I have plenty in my meter. I need a number. Because after that, if the heater has enough gas to work with, then we can go into the diagnostic of the electric problems. But if you don't have that gas, the amount of gas available, not only on the pressure side, but the volume based on the BTUs of the heaters, is very special.
69.
There's a lot of things that are being sold in our industry that are masking problems and not getting to the core. We want to change the way the world thinks about water. That's our tag. And what that tag means is I like to get, I'm a political economist by training. And so I always like to know why things happen, not the supply-demand curve, but what's manipulating the supply and demand. If there's 4 people providing a service across the world, the lack of competition may be why you're paying something for something and why it's working. And I think that same phenomena holds true in all transactions. When you look at water chemistry and you look at the things we're putting in the water, I think some things we're putting in there because somebody told us to. Some things we're putting in there trying to overcome a condition that may not be the cause. It may be a symptom of a problem, but not the problem. And at Orenda, we're all about getting to the root cause of dysfunction in water.
71.
I enjoy speaking to my client. My staff tries their best to just get me in my little office and get me to stay there and not come out very much. Hard to keep me there. I love being in the mix of things. I try not to step on my staff's toes, try not to step on anybody's toes actually. But I do like to get out there on these job sites and love to talk to my clients and ask them, how are we doing for you? How are we performing? What can we do better? What do you like best about what we've done up to this point? How has the process been up to this point? Has it been smooth? Has there been any issues? I want to know everything. As a company that aims to be better, I want to know everything I'm doing right, but I want to know everything I'm doing wrong. We have a term in the Marine Corps, it's called a just fire. So what you do is when you're sighting in on a point for mortars and you can't hit that point, you call back and you adjust fire so that you can now hit your target. Okay, that's what we do in this company.
72.
I really want to shine a better light on this industry. It's something that I've done my entire life. 42 years I've done this business, and I've worked for what I consider to be one of the worst companies in the industry and for one of what I consider to be the best companies in the industry. And I think we are somewhere on the upper end scale of the better end, and that's what we want to be. There's so much negative publicity in a lot of different areas. Pool builders going out of business, pool builders taking money and running and, getting a down payment and you never see them again, or getting a gunite draw before it's shut, or give me all your money up front and I'll finish the pool. We want to educate people on, what not to do. And we want to educate people on, let's face it, we're in the business of fun. We build fun. That's what we do for a living. That's what we bring to everybody's backyard. We've kind of made it a goal of ours with the little bit of platform that we have is to spread that, spread the good of the industry.
74.
I like to correlate it to a race car. We use big horsepower pumps on our pool, and we may need that horsepower to do that demanding job, maybe backwashing that filter once every 2 weeks for 5 or 10 minutes. But just the job of filtering our pool daily, it takes nowhere near that kind of horsepower. And relate it to participating at the drag strip. And that first Friday of every month, I need a dragster. And I want to be competitive, but I can only have one car. And so I end up being competitive Friday night, but as soon as I pull off the track, I'm using my dragster to go back and forth to work and back and forth to the grocery store. Whereas variable speed lets us have that dragster on the Friday night when we need to be competitive, but as soon as we hit the finish line, we're now converting it to a Prius to spend the rest of our month just going efficiently back and forth to work, because we're not in a hurry to get to the grocery store. We can take a little time to do that. So that's how I like to think.
75.
We use this term space planning, laying out a backyard, how it's going to function, pool placement, focal points, features, all the different things of how the family is going to use it. It's really easy to throw a pool in the backyard and then put all this cool stuff around it and make it look cool visually. But when you are actually planning a space to get built, you got to think. You got to put time into it. And so I really learned a lot from him on how to do that and understanding of what that means. It's not just a cool, pretty picture. It's going to be a functional investment.
76.
It may actually be better. Everybody's coming to that fear with a place of saying that
I know it's going to suck. I don't want to do it. But what about if you learn something that you didn't know? Or what about if you discover something that changes your business model or connects you? The networking is invaluable. If you don't like the class and you have to sit for 2 days, that's fine. You're still going to meet at least 8, 10, 20 people in your industry. And we have a micro industry. If you live in a big urban area, how else are you going to meet other pool service professionals, builders, technicians, right? The networking is huge. And people often don't realize that. On coffee breaks, on lunch breaks, you are meeting peers, and that might be the first time you've ever met somebody outside of your organization who understands the pressure you're under from your, for example, your hotel GM to keep the pool looking, great.
Here at Pool Chasers, we're all about sharing information so that you can become even more knowledgeable pool professionals. The folks at Pentair get that, and to show their appreciation, we invite you to enroll in the Pentair Partners Incentive Program. This flexible and simple program rewards you for your loyalty, starting with your very first sale of Pentair equipment or systems. Not only that, but being a partner gives you immediate and exclusive access to programs and training events, all which are developed to help drive even more business to your door. So to start earning rewards, visit pentairpartners.com or click the link in the write-up below.
Since we've started with Pool Chasers, we've spoken with a lot of pool builders and designers. Something they have all mentioned is that having realistic, detailed 3D renderings to show their clients is a game changer. Something that makes the rendering come to life is including products and accessories that your clients can purchase from you. One manufacturer that makes this particularly easy is Ledge Lounger. By going to ledgeloungers.com/CAD, you can instantly download a 3D file for any product in their catalog. Everything from their signature chase to their new patio furniture, cabanas, games is all available to drop into your 3D designs. We've seen these renderings pop up on Instagram full of in-pool and outdoor furniture, and you can't help but stop and look. If you want to transform your 3D renderings, whether you use CAD, Pool Studio, SketchUp, or any other platform, you can get the product files you need at ledgeloungers.com/CAD. That's ledgeloungers.com/CAD. CAD.
Thanks for checking out this episode. If you want to find out more about our guests or the sponsors of the show, you can check them out on the links we have provided in the write-up below. We have also provided links to our social media platforms, so please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Our tag is Pool Chasers. If the podcast has brought you any value, please do what you can to support us through our Patreon page by going to patreon.com/Pool Chasers. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast to be updated each time a new episode is released. One last thing. If you're not yet in our Facebook group, join it today to be surrounded by like-minded individuals who are all trying to better the industry. Thank you all for the support. We appreciate your time and your ear.
See you out there, Pool Chasers.